Hi everyone. I'm a little late starting today, so I hope everyone is still here, is still ready for the live lesson today. And if not, that's okay. You can watch the lesson later on replay on the channel. Let me know if you're here, if you're watching, and where you're from. Hopefully it's not too cold where you are today. It's very cold here. I don't think you've ever seen me wear a jumper in my videos, but I had to today. Hi Miranda, how are you? Thank you for joining again. I hope everyone is having a fantastic weekend, enjoying your rest time if you do get rest on the weekends. Hi, welcome. Welcome to today's video. So today I'm going to go through some business English vocabulary. This is going to be an introduction to business English. And everything you see in this video today is from my own business English course that I have created. Hi Bashir. Hi. So this is a course that I have created with all my students in mind. And it's not yet finished, so you can't buy the course yet. But every video that I have created for the course is on my membership page. It's called Business Insider Membership. So if you want to see, I think there's over 20 videos there at the moment, which are purely for members and they are purely for business English, and you can work your way through the course. Feel free to sign up to membership and you can cancel at any time. So if you sign up, finish all the videos, you can cancel. I know people don't like to spend money when they can get free information as well. That's absolutely fine. I would be the same as you, but if you want access to all my business English videos, they are on my membership page. So let's start then today, shall we? Oh, I'm going to make this a bit bigger for you because that is very small and not so clear. So first we're going to look at some vocabulary. So fill in the blanks with words that you think fit. And bear in mind, this is business English and these are vocabularies related to business English. So number one, hi Amir, hi, welcome. Number one, goods that are carried by ship, train or aircraft are called what? And it begins with an F, R and ends in a T. Are called what? This is related to logistics, if anyone here works in logistics. Hi Khalid. Good job. Freight, exactly. So the first one would be freight. This is what we call, as it says, anything, any product that is carried by ship, train or aircraft. In American English, they would call it cargo, but in British English, we're more likely to call it freight. Number two, a product used in the home is a something product, H-O, and it ends with L-D. So a product used in the home or a product sold for use in the home. And this would be if you were working in a business to customer situation or you work for a factory, manufacturing plant, and you sell these kinds of products. What would they be called? Any ideas? Household. Good, perfect. Household product. Household product. Number 3. Pieces of electrical equipment used in people's homes are app something. APP, and the last letter is S. So these are electrical equipments used in people's homes, and often we see this when we talk about kitchens. Not applications, but there's another word, appliances. Fantastic, exactly, appliances. Appliances. I'll write these in so you can see the spelling as well. EIGHT. Freight. I'll put it at the top. Household. Household product. This would be appliances. Exactly. Thank you. Number 4. The words clothing and drinks are conversational. When you're talking with your friends, you would say clothing, drinks. But in a business context, you often see the words something and something. So APP refers to the clothing. What's a business English word for clothing? And what's a business English word for drinks? BEV. And they both, that one ends in S and the first one ends in L. Beverage, exactly. The business English word for drinks is beverages, or a beverage. Yes, exactly. Anyone have an idea about the first one? APP, business English for clothing. Business English for clothing. Perhaps not, because often we see the word fashion, but as that suggests, it's talking about fashionable clothes. We have a word for more practical clothing as well. This would be apparel. Apparel. So if you work in manufacturing or sales, you would talk about your products being apparel rather than clothing. We don't sell clothes, we sell apparel. We don't sell drinks, we sell beverages. These are the business English phrases. Number 5, rooms, equipments, or services that are provided for a particular purpose are something. FAC and ends in an S. So when you check into a hotel, for example, you might ask about what kind of F word they have. Or if you're trying to find a venue for a conference, facilities, exactly, good, facilities. When you check into a hotel, it will always say the facilities we have to offer are. Or as I said, if you're looking to hold a business meeting or go to a conference, it will talk about the type of facilities. Are there toilets at the venue? Is there a stage to do presentations on? Is there a meeting room? Number 6, another term for property is R-E, 2 words, R and E. Another term for property is any ideas? There's quite a few shows on Netflix about this, so perhaps this is an easy one. Instead of saying I own property, business English, you might say I own real estate. Good, exactly. I own or I invest in real estate. Good, perfect. I have real estate. I'm interested in real estate. I want to get into real estate. The business of buying and selling shares is called... Actually, this one there's a little bit of a correction I need to make. The business where we buy and sell shares, where we buy and sell shares is called a... So it's not an office, it is a... This one's quite difficult, so I wonder if you'll get it. Any ideas, Miranda? Any ideas, Bashir? A... This one is brokerage, okay? Brokerage. So you don't really have to know this unless you buy and sell shares or have an accountant or have a stockbroker. The person that works there is a stockbroker. A stockbroker. You won't come across this word often. But if you ever see someone that says they work in a brokerage, this is what it refers to. Their job is to buy and sell shares. And finally, public services that are used by everyone are... begins with a U. Miranda says, yeah, you did know it. Maybe you just forgot it for a second. Public services that are used by everyone are... So this refers to things like gas, electricity, water. Everyone, no matter where you live in the country, accesses these types of things. And what is the name for those things? Often when you get a bill at the end of the month, it will be called your, exactly, utilities. At the end of the month, you will get a utility bill. My utility bill was high this month. My utility bill was high this month. Utilities are what you have access to through the government in your country. Gas, electricity, water, typically. Any questions about this page? Seems I did not know that. A new word for you then, Miranda. Utilities. You can break it down as well. You can say my electricity bill, my water bill, my gas bill. But the general word we use for them is utilities. So let's move on then. I have the answers on this page, but you did that fantastically. So let's move on. Okay. So I'm just going to make this a bit smaller because I want to write the meanings in here as well. So we have all of these words on the screen, and what I want you to do is try and create an example. Either the first option is you can create an example, or the second is give me the meaning. So surplus and deficit go together. What does surplus and deficit mean? Either give me an example or give me the meaning. The word apparel, I have never seen it before, dear teacher. Oh, good. I'm glad you learned something new today. I always try to make sure there's enough in my lessons that not everything is new, because then you will forget most of it, but some of it is new to you as well. So I'm glad you both found something new there. So any ideas about the meanings of any of these phrases, words on the screen? You don't have to go in order, just give me excess and recession. Recession, I'm not sure I would use the word recession, but definitely excess. Yes, something extra, exactly. Surplus is when you have more than you needed, extra. more, excess. Exactly. And typically, if you're a business, you don't want surplus every month because that means you haven't sold enough product or you overestimated how much product you should have sold. I bought 20 t-shirts and I only sold 10. I have surplus. Is that a good thing or a bad thing? You have to think about it. So deficit is the opposite, okay? Deficit is the opposite. It's when you don't have enough. Can you use it in a sentence? Yes, of course I can. Let me move this out the way and I will give you a sentence. We have ended this month with surplus product, so we are discounting this product for the next month. Something like this. We have more than we needed. We have more than we needed. So instead of getting rid of it or holding on to it as excess stock, we discount it for the month after. Or you might say the opposite. Sorry, not the opposite. You might say something like, we ended the month on a surplus, referring to finances, money, so everyone gets a bonus this month. Deficit, trade deficit, maybe scarce. Yes, exactly. It's the opposite of surplus. You do not have enough. Do not have enough. If a company talks about being in deficit, Google ended the year in a deficit. This means they do not have enough money to keep themselves going. They cannot continue to the next year. And typically, if a company faces deficit, it means, unfortunately, some people are going to lose their jobs. Trade deficit would refer to you giving more than you are getting back. Exactly. You do not have enough of something. Import, export. I know you know these two words, but can you remember which is which? Import and export. Import and export. If I say we import more than we export, what do I mean? Yes, good, exactly, Bashir, exactly. So import is to bring something into the country. Bring in. Export, send out. Send out, okay? So your country, exactly, your country will have things that it exports and things that it imports. If you happen to know, let me know in the comments. I'm very interested to know. I know that, for example, in the UK, we import a lot of our fruit from places like Spain and Mexico because we just don't have the weather for oranges and lemons. So when you go to the supermarket in the UK, all the oranges and lemons will say from Spain, from Mexico. Sometimes from Italy, but not often. And export is what you send out. So I know that the UK used to export a lot of cars, but not anymore because it's too expensive because of the EU tax regulations. So the UK no longer exports cars. What about your country? My country is relying on imported goods. Okay. Imported, okay, imported goods. Import is the action, so I import, but the goods are imported. The adjective is imported, okay? I know that China, for example, exports a lot of small technological devices. We know that. They also export solar panels. We import many things, export wine, nuts, and so on. Yes, exactly. I'm sure the UK probably gets a lot of wine from your country. And countries need these imports and exports to continue stocking their shelves in the supermarket. I remember when the war first started in Ukraine, the UK didn't have any sunflower oil because we import all of our sunflower oil from Ukraine. So the next word is outsourcing. Outsourcing. You may know this word because your company may be doing this at the moment, or you may be someone that has been outsourced. So what does outsourcing mean? Any ideas? Outsourcing. I can use it in a sentence as well. The company is looking to save money, so they are outsourcing customer service advisors, or they are outsourcing IT support. What does outsourcing mean? Okay, so outsourcing is when we try to save money in the company by hiring people from outside the country. So a really popular thing at the moment, to bring something from outside to produce something. Close. So a really popular thing at the moment for UK and European countries, I know that Germany is doing it, and I know that Switzerland is also doing it, is hiring IT support and customer service support from India. So these people still live in India, they still work in India, they work for an Indian company, but a European country pays them. So they're like remote workers. And the reason it has the name outsourcing is because we recognize that the company has done it to save money. Typically, countries that have more money will outsource from countries that do not have as much money. The minimum wage is lower, so they do not have to pay them the same amount that they do local people. Some people think it's a good thing, some people think it's a bad thing. But the general idea is the people that they are hiring are cheaper because they are not in the local country. Foreign direct investment. Foreign direct investment. This, I think you can guess from the name, but what, in your own words, what do you think this could mean? Foreign direct investment. Or do you have an example in your country where you've noticed foreign direct investment? Let me just turn on my charger, 1 second. Okay, done. Something companies avoid costs so that outsource something products. Yes, they're avoiding costs, exactly. So foreign direct investment just means people from outside the country or companies from outside the company investing, putting money into businesses in the company to invest in foreign country. The other way round, foreigners investing in the local country. So a good example of this that I can give you is Jaguar. used to be a UK car company, but it was purchased by Tata Motors, which is an Indian car company. But I believe Jaguar still operates in the UK. It's just not owned by the UK anymore. You may have a similar example where a local brand, a local company still operates the same but is actually owned by someone outside of the country. And again, this is to do with money. If the company is not doing well, they will look outside the country to find people to help them financially. Assets. What do we mean when we talk about assets? He has many assets, or the company's assets were said to be over $2 billion. What does that mean, assets? I think from the example you can guess it's related to money, but why do we just not say money? Why do we say assets instead? Assets, money gained by business, yes. Money gained by business. Assets refers to things you own that could be sold to make money, but at the moment are not money. Some American companies invest in Taiwan to avoid high taxes. Yeah, exactly. Good example. So, for example, I have $1 million. I don't want my $1 million to sit in my bank account. So what I do is I go and buy a property for $1 million and I rent it out. That is now an asset. I can't use that money because it's in the property. But if I ever need to, I can sell that and I have $1 million. And companies will often have assets rather than money in the bank. So they'll have different companies, different offices, different locations in different countries. They might have stocks and shares. They might own part of the business or part of another business. So instead of holding money, you hold things that you can sell or use in the future. 1 second, my laptop is not charging, but it is plugged in. So give me a second to figure that out. Okay. All good. Typically, the average person wouldn't describe themselves as having assets, but you might do if you invest your money rather than keep it and save it and spend it. Cars, buildings, equipment, and lands, exactly. You might buy a piece of land with nothing on it, but keep it for 5 years, and in 5 years' time, it's increased in value and you sell it. That would be an asset to you. And you will often see, if you look at influential, famous people, it will never say they have 300 million. It will say they are estimated. Their estimated value is. And that is because they don't have that money in the bank account. That money is in their businesses. Time is our most valuable asset. That's a really nice expression, exactly. Meaning the most expensive thing we can give away is our time. Trading, I think you know. Trading just means to swap goods between companies, countries. If it's a good trade, both parties will be happy with that trade. Policy. What does policy refer to? You often see this in business English. It will say, our policy states, or you must follow policy, or we're changing the policy. If you've ever signed up to a website, you always get those, we've changed our policy, here it is. And when you click on the link, there's thousands of sentences that you can't be bothered to read. So what does that policy mean? What's the actual meaning of that word? Rules to follow, guidelines that must be followed. Exactly. You can also call them standards. Standards, rules, guidelines that must be followed. Exactly. Every company will have a policy for its customers, a policy for its employees. My knowledge is my most valuable asset. That's a really nice sentence. Thank you, Gabriel. And no one can take your knowledge away from you. And finally, fiscal. Fiscal. What does fiscal mean? You often see this expression, end of the fiscal year. What does this mean? And this is a fantastic example of how sometimes business English can be unfair to non-native English speakers because we could say it in an easier way. There is one word that means exactly the same as fiscal that everyone understands. But because it's business and because people want to put themselves above others, they have all these fancy advanced words that you have to unfortunately learn and remember. So what does fiscal mean? Any ideas? Monetary. Yes, exactly. Fiscal just means money, finance. So end of the fiscal year means end of the financial year. Looking at a fiscal strategy or plan just means the money, the plan, the budget, the finances for that year, for that period. That's all it means. Anything you see that has the word fiscal, it's relating to finances and budget and money going through a company. Any questions about those vocabularies? Would you like me to create any more example sentences, or can we move on? No questions? Okay, perfect. Okay, I need to make this smaller again, because I need you to be able to see the top. There we go, perfect. Okay, so I have some sentences here. You have the definitions below and the words above. Can we use fiscal in a sentence? Yes, of course. At the end of the fiscal year, we're going to sit down and discuss how we can go forwards. Or we had surplus at the end of the fiscal year, so we're looking to hire 5 new employees. Or we ended the fiscal year in a deficit. So, unfortunately, we're going to make some changes in the company, meaning somebody is getting fired. So on this page, what I want you to do is match the words above to their definitions below. And be careful, because some of these words are very, very similar, but they have a slight difference in meaning. Valuable info. You are most welcome. You are most welcome. I love business English, actually, even though it can be confusing and it sometimes isolates a group of people. You know, if you're just learning English, then some of these words are a bit confusing for you. But I do love business English because it allows you to sound more impressive at work, stand up for yourself at work, be more confident, talk to your managers, your bosses, your colleagues. One, check, exactly, check. Make sure everything is correct or the way you expect it. Good. Check. Make sure everything is correct or the way you expect it is to check something. Number 2, organize people so that they work together effectively. Organize people so that they work together effectively. Coordinate, good, exactly. To coordinate a group of people is to organize them so they work together. Yes, exactly, good job. Number 3, give someone a job to do. Give someone a job to do. Let me cross off the ones at the top as well so it helps you recognize what you have used already and what you haven't. Number 3, give someone a job to do, assign, perfect, thank you everyone. Give someone a job to do, assign a task, assign a job. Number 4, carry out, make a plan, start to work. So one of my students was a little confused when I gave this example because she was focused on the planning section, but it's already been planned. It's the start of making the plan work. Implement, good job Miranda, exactly. Implement. To implement something means you've planned it, but now you are taking the action to make sure it happens. Number 5, have the power to make decisions and operate something the way you want. Have the power to make decisions. Control, good job. Control, I'm going to put this down here. Control, to control a situation, control a group of people, control a project. Number 6, make certain that something happens. Make certain that something happens. Ensure, good, well done. Oh, this is too easy for you. I have to make it harder next time. To make certain that something happens is the same as saying to make sure, so of course it is ensure. I will ensure that I see to that. I will ensure that my students improve. Number 7, change something to fit a new situation. Adapt. Excellent. Excellent. Adapt. Number 8, watch or measure something carefully for a period of time to see how it changes. Now there are 2 words here that this could be, but there's one that is slightly closer to the meaning. Watch or measure something carefully for a period of time to see how it changes. Good, exactly. I was hoping someone would do this. So evaluate, it could be evaluate, because to evaluate also means to watch, measure something. But the key here is for a period of time to see how it changes. This is to monitor something. You're not interfering, you're not changing it, you're just watching. Which is why often a manager will say, I will monitor your progress. They're not going to do it for you. They're not going to tell you when you're doing something wrong, but they will oversee and watch you to see how you react. Number 9, think about or test something before deciding its value, suitability, or effectiveness. Evaluate, exactly, good, evaluate. Evaluate, good job. And finally, number 10, control what something will be, officially decide something, find out. So this has a couple of meanings. Of course, it is determine, to determine something. To control what something will be means we will determine, or these actions will determine what happens. What we do now will have an effect, will control the outcome. Officially decide something is if you say, we have determined that we want to do this. Or it will be determined today, we will officially decide. And to find out is if you were to say something like, we need to determine what the cause was, what the problem was. What is the difference with determine and evaluate? So, good question. When we use determine to mean find out, there's no difference. We need to evaluate what the problem was. We need to determine what the problem was. But with determine, there's a feeling of you have the final answer. Whereas evaluate is just the work before. So imagine a maths problem. All the work you do before the equals sign and the answer is the evaluating. And then determine is that final answer. So if you're focusing on the final answer, you need to use determine rather than evaluate. We need to evaluate what went wrong, would be focusing on looking at why it went wrong, how we can change it, what happens next time. But we need to determine what went wrong. We just need to find out what happened. That's it. This happened. Okay, we've determined it. Thank you. Does that make sense? I hope that makes sense. And finally today we have some phrasal verbs. So I'm going to, let me move myself because I'm blocking the screen. So let me know, what do these phrasal verbs mean to you? What do these phrasal verbs mean to you? If you were to put them in normal terms without the phrasal verb, what do they mean to you? Put forward. What does put forward mean? They evaluated the situation and determined the solution. Yes, exactly. Perfect example of the sentence. Or even something like, the situation is currently being evaluated. But once we determine the cause, we will act. Something like this. One suggests it's the figuring out and one suggests it's the result. Put forward is to offer someone for a job. Exactly. You can put forward a person. Put forward a person. And often people ask what's the difference between come up with and put forwards. Well, you would never come up with a person. You come up with a plan idea, strategy. But you can put forwards an idea, a plan, a person. So you would never say, I have come up with this person, but you could say, I put forward this person. Exactly. To deal with. What is to deal with? To deal with. We need to deal with this situation. What do I mean by that? Come up with the solution, like find the solution, plan. Yes, exactly, perfect. Good example. To solve a problem, deal with, to solve a problem. Solve a problem or tackle a situation as well. Tackle a situation. Because sometimes it's not always a problem. But let's say, for example, you work in HR, human resources, and you have two employees that don't get on. How do you deal with that? How do you tackle that? Work on something, yeah, to deal with also means to work on. I will deal with that later. I will work on it later. Come to, as in come to an agreement. Come to a conclusion. What does this mean? We need to come to an agreement. We need to come to a conclusion. We need to come to a decision as well, you could say. We need to come to a decision. Or back down. Any ideas? So come to is like to decide. It just means to decide. To decide. So instead of saying, okay, come on everyone, we need to decide, you can say, okay, let's come to an agreement. Let's come to a conclusion, to get agreement. Make that agreement. Exactly. Back down. Back down. I might use it in a sentence such as, okay, let's back down, let's accept their offer. Or, don't back down. Don't back down, keep pushing forwards with this client. I think you all know take part in, because that is what we are doing now. To take part in means to be involved. So currently you are taking part in a live business English lesson. To be involved. Are you going to take part in the after work drinks on Friday? Are you going to take part in the interview? Are you going to take part in the meeting, or are you out today? Is it like to give up or not follow something you were intended? Yes, exactly. Exactly. Back down is give up. So if you say don't back down, it means not give up. Don't give up, right? And we often use this when we have two sides and they're trying to come to a decision, but one side does not want to lower their offer anymore. So let's say, for example, I offer you 10,000 and you say, no, I want it for 8,000. I might say, I am not backing down, or my boss might tell me, do not back down. This means do not go down to that 8,000. We agreed 10,000, so it has to be 10,000. Move on to, I think you know, because it's used often, and I think I use it in my videos as well, to go to the next topic, or slide if it's a presentation. Let's move on to the next slide. And finally, get down to. People love to say, let's get down to business and let's get down to basics. And all this means is, let's start or let's focus. So if you work in an office where everyone is very friendly, and everyone talks about their weekend, their evening, and your manager says, okay, great, fantastic, let's get down to business. It just means, okay, enough talking, let's start, let's focus on the topic. Miranda says, they put him forward, but he backed down. Yes, exactly, he wasn't interested, he didn't want it anymore, he stepped back. Exactly, good. Thank you everyone for your participation today, for taking part today. I really appreciate it. I wanted to construct these live lessons so you have more of like an interactive lesson with me, but next week I will have some normal videos as always. And if you enjoyed today's lesson and you want to learn more business English, as I said, I do have all these videos. I have over 20 videos in my membership page for my business English course. If you want to wait for the business English course to be finished, you can absolutely do that. I will be asking 2 or 3 people to take the course for free and review it for me, give me feedback so I know how it's going. But if you can't wait, you want to do business English classes now, check out my membership page because all my business English lessons are there. Cut to chase, or do not remember if I said it well. Cut to the chase. Yes, exactly. Let's cut to the chase. Let's cut to the chase. Let's focus on what we're talking about now. Exactly. So if you haven't already, please like the live video, share it if you can. If you can share it to your social media, that is fantastic. I really appreciate all your input today. Thank you, Miranda and Bashir, for being so involved. And I will see you in our next video. Have a fantastic weekend, everyone. I'll see you next time. Thank you.